So Jeff Sessions and the Justice Department are now shutting down an office that helps poor people get legal aid. Now, people familiar with the matter told the New York Times that the Office for Access to Justice has seen its staff leave the office over the past few months, and its acting director, Maha Jweied, stepped down from the department. Now, what happened? Well, it turns out the Trump administration is not all that interested in helping poor people. Well, color me surprised, but what really happened? Well, according to Career Justice Department officials talking to the Times, they said that new administrations often change or end projects begun by previous administrations in order to reallocate resources to their own priorities. And while Sessions can't officially close the office without informing Congress, he can reallocate its resources to other divisions. So here's what happened. Jeff Sessions saw this and was like, poor people? Why are we helping poor people get legal representation? No. Switch that out. Take the resources here and put it into, I don't know, enforcing anti-pot laws. I don't know. Let's do our war on drugs. I don't know if that's where the people went. But obviously, it didn't go for helping poor people receive representation. Now, this office began in 2010 under former Attorney General Eric Holder. Now, what it was supposed to do is that it was dedicated to improving the accessibility of legal aid for the poor and needy in both civil and criminal courts. So, here we go again. They don't like this. They don't like the fact that poor people can get representation, can get government help getting representation. So they said, let's get rid of it because we don't care about poor people. We would actually like to crush poor people and give everything that we can to the rich. I'm sure Sessions looked at this and said, this is completely not essential. I mean, why should we help poor people find representation anyway? It's not like they've given me anything. They didn't sign any of my donor checks. Yeah, but the whole point of the Justice Department is actually to enforce justice, to ensure actual justice. Now, this decision, of course, there's a racial angle to it. This is going to harm people that are the most vulnerable, namely African Americans, Latinos, and poor working class white people. So everybody who's at the fringe of society, who are not middle class, who are not rich, they're going to be affected by this. Basically, anybody who can't afford to hire a decent legal representation. But I know there's the argument of, wait a minute, but that's what public defenders are for, right? So they should just go to public defenders. Well, look, public defenders, while have good intentions, I think, for the most part, are underpaid. They're stretched out, they're stretched thin, and in some cases underqualified to go up against other lawyers. And so I think a lot of those people are, again, undertrained, underqualified, and are probably there looking to get experience so they can get into better law firms. And besides, I believe only public defenders help in criminal proceedings. But what if you need to do something that's a civil infraction? What if your landlord was breaking contracts and you had to go and get a lawyer to be able to go and sue that landlord for doing whatever? You can't do that if you don't have the money to hire a lawyer. Or maybe you're being sued. Or maybe there's something that you need a lawyer, that you need representation for, and you happen to be too poor to be able to afford one. If you can't afford that representation, you are screwed. And this isn't the only thing that Sessions has done recently to screw poor people. He had also rescinded an Obama-era directive to lower courts advising them to avoid imposing large fees and penalties on poor defendants. Those fees, in many cases, have resulted in the return of so-called debtors' prisons. According to the ACLU, reports revealed that poor people were being locked up in the states of Georgia, Washington, Mississippi, and elsewhere without court hearings or legal representation when they were unable to pay fines and fees for traffic tickets or other civil infractions or criminal offenses. So civil infractions too. So now we have the return of debtors' prisons. In fact, Ferguson was doing the same thing. And those judges and a lot of the police departments operated from funding based on that, on keeping people in jail or doing these fines and fees. And again, when they can't when they can't afford to pay, they throw them in jail. This is a sick system that we have in America, where you can be locked up for just not having enough money. And this is despite the U.S. having actually banned debtors' prisons for over 2 centuries. And yet, these areas, these states, are actually finding ways around that ban to be able to go and enforce debtors' prisons. It's gross. These decisions, furthermore, show that the Department of Justice, under Jeff Sessions, is not at all interested in actual justice. Unless, of course, you happen to be wealthy and connected and happen to give Jeff Sessions campaign donations. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.